What up, everyone? It's your boy, The Hater, and we're going to talk about Money in the Bank. Now, I tried watching this last night, but Peacock was being weird, until like after a certain point. But by that time, I went on Wikipedia and I spoiled the results for myself. So, needless to say, I didn't enjoy it as much as maybe I would have, but let's be real, I did see it. I did skip some of the moments, of course, because I don't have time to watch Natalia versus Ronda Rousey. I mean, let's be honest, right? But basically, I did watch it, so this is going to be a real review up in this piece. So without further ado, let's get started, cuckolds. First up, we have the women's Money in the Bank. Now, does anyone really care about this? You know what I mean? The answer is no. The short answer is no. Liv Morgan wins. The match was horrible. I did watch most of this match because it's a Money in the Bank match, so I figured some cool things might happen, but I was wrong, right? First of all, it was so botchy, all right? It was just a botch fest, Like Asuka, people last year or a few years ago were saying, they were seriously saying that Asuka is like top 5 in the world, like men or women, right? Like, she's not. Let's be real, all right? Asuka is botchy. Now, is she as botchy as Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan? No, she's not as botchy as them, but she's still botchy, right? Women wrestlers are botchy, and the reason is because women's athletics in general are very weak, right? Like, not a lot of girls want to be athletes. There's definitely athletic girls in the world, right? But they're not represented at the higher echelon because there's just no money in it, right? So why would someone like a super female athlete go and become a UFC fighter and make like 40 grand a fight, right? When she can go become a lawyer, let's say, or a doctor or something like that, right? And she doesn't have to get hit. So there's a lot of athletic women, but they just don't find their way into sports. And likewise, they don't find their way into sports entertainment. I mean, let's be real. Plus, it's not even about that, but I understand, obviously, that the athletic part of it, you have to be athletic, right? Like, that's why Matt Riddle is good in the ring, or AJ Styles, it's because they're athletic guys. So, there you have it, you know what I'm saying? The match was botchy. The worst parts involved the ladders. All the ladder spots were crap, There wasn't one good ladder spot, like an actual good one. First of all, the ladders were all over the place. They're like, half broken, half like bent. It was just a piece of shit match, right? The worst part by far, in my opinion, was after the little table spot, which turned out to be like a ladder spot. Ladder didn't even break like it's supposed to, after Becky Lynch dove on it. After that, all the women get in the ring, and inexplicably, at the same time, all of them start setting up ladders. You know how like in ladder matches, there's always that spot where there's like a big ladder in the middle and 2 smaller ladders to the side? Right? They did that, but typically that's done organically, right? Like you set up one ladder, then you wrestle for 5 minutes, then another ladder gets set up for another reason, and you put it up there, right? Here, 6 women got up and just set up the ladders like it was time to set up the ladders. You know what I mean? Like the spot called for the ladders to be set up, and they're like, oh, okay, time to set up the ladder. So they did, right? And then bullshit ensued, right? Long story short, Liv Morgan climbs the ladder, she gets pushed. She does the little rope trick thing where she pushes off the rope with her foot and bounces the ladder again. She didn't botch this, which was nice, I guess, right? And then she just slaps, I think it was Becky Lynch. She just slaps her once, she hits her once. Becky falls off, Liv Morgan gets it. Great. And then everyone was excited about this for some reason. Oh, Liv did it. Like, who gives a rat's ass about Liv Morgan? She sucks, But whatever. A lot of people seem to like her. I don't see it at all. To me, this has Alexa Bliss 2.0 written all over it, and we know how that ended up. It's only a matter of time before Liv Morgan has a doll. You know what I'm saying? It was stupid. I don't like Liv Morgan. I don't like her ever, and I never will. So what do you think of them apples? Next up, to wash our mouth off the taste that this match left us, we have Bobby Lashley versus Theory in what was exactly what you would expect. I mean, let's be real, right? Like, this sounds like a match that should be on Raw. Now, I will say this. I was enjoying this match because I like Theory, right? I like him. I see what's happening with him, right? This kid is a star in the making. Now, let's be honest. Is he a star to the level of John Cena? No. They're always going to keep going down, right? First you have The Rock, and then John Cena is a great wrestler, but he's not as big of a star as The Rock, right? And they're going to keep just going down until, we reach like mediocrity completely, right? But Austin Theory, out of everyone on the roster, I think it's safe to say, it's him and Riddle. They're the two that have the highest potential. The difference is he's younger than Riddle, number one. And 2, Riddle is a goof, right? He's a goof. And as a result, he's going to be treated like a goof. And also, I mean, let's be real. Riddle is not as reliable, right? You need to have a good public image. And I don't know what Austin Theory's public image is, but I know Riddle's. And Riddle's is that he's a pothead, which is fine. I don't judge him for that. Maybe not even a pothead, but he enjoys his marijuana. And he was part of that, like that sexual harassment thing where everyone was getting harassed. Like, they didn't prove anything. I'm not saying he did it. I actually believe the opposite. I believe you have to be proven guilty. But the point is, he's not going to get the push over Theory for the variety of reasons that I said. And also, Theory, even though Riddle is like in great shape, Theory is in better shape. I mean, let's be real, right? Theory just looks the part, right? He's muscular. Like, there was a spot in the match where he just runs and he clotheslines Lashley and knocks him down believably, right? To me, that was one of the spots of the night. Even though it was just a simple clothesline spot, it told the point. And the point was that Austin Theory, even though Lashley is obviously superior to him physically, like Lashley would tear him apart in 2 seconds, it's not against all beliefs that someone like Theory could beat up someone like Lashley or even someone like Lesnar, right? The facts are what the facts are. Theory is a young, like tall and muscular guy. So it's not unbelievable. Like I remember a few weeks ago on Raw where he did like a pose off with Lashley, right? And he was like, check out my biceps. And then Lashley flexed his biceps. And then announcers were like, oh my God, Lashley's are bigger. And it's like, yeah, but barely. I mean, let's be real, barely bigger, right? Like Austin Theory is like 23 or 24 or some bullshit. Like it's not inconceivable that he could grow in size and be bigger. And his body type doesn't really, it's not really conducive to that, but he could easily get bigger biceps, right? He's already like, you know, the most in shape out of anyone on Raw. So there's clearly, motherfucks, clearly a correlation here, right? And if we're being honest, he's good in the ring. He's athletic. He's one of those athletic ones. So I enjoyed this match. Lashley won. And more on this match later, cucks. Next up, we had Bianca Belair versus Carmella. Who gives a shit? Obviously, Bianca Belair is going to beat Carmella. She was going to wrestle someone else. I forget who it was. But then that person got injured, so Carmella took their place. So, you know, it doesn't really mean anything. It's completely useless. Like, Bianca Belair is going to just hang out there until Sasha Banks comes back with, like, yellow hair this time or something, you know, with a new wig, and then they start a feud. That's all that's going to happen. Who gives a flying fuck? And then next up, we have the Usos versus the Street Profits. Now, this was a long match, and it was a tag match, so you knew what to expect here. We've seen this match many times. Tag matches, in my personal opinion, come in the form of spots. And if people have boring-ass movesets like the Usos and, what's it called? The fucking... what are they called? The Street Profits, right? Then the match is not going to be that great, and this match wasn't anything special, right? This is not a match worthy of pay-per-view. The Usos are overplayed, and the Street Profits, in my personal opinion, should never have had the success that they've had. They're not good enough in any capacity. Montez Ford is not that charismatic like people say he is. He's not that good in the ring. He's not even that athletic. Like, he can jump high. He can jump high, and he's relatively quick, but he's too feeble. Like, it's like if you put him next to Austin Theory, you'd think that Austin Theory would just destroy this guy in 10 seconds, you know? So it's not going to happen. Angelo Dawkins is like one of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, so it doesn't matter, right? Next up, we had Ronda Rousey versus Natalya. Ronda Rousey counters a sharpshooter into an armbar for the win. That's all you need to know. Nobody else cares about anything else here. Obviously, Natalya was not going to beat Ronda Rousey. But I knew that because the Money in the Bank had happened, there was a great possibility of someone cashing in and beating Ronda Rousey because, quite honestly, she's overstayed her welcome, you know? Like, I figured she would just be champion for like a month or two, and I was right. Because Liv Morgan comes out, right? She goes in there. This was one of the worst segments I've ever seen in my life. So she kicks Ronda Rousey, and then Ronda Rousey puts her in the ankle lock, right? Which nearly cripples Liv Morgan. However, Liv Morgan gets out of it, the fans cheer, and she just does a shitty-looking roll-up to Ronda Rousey and pins her. So, in other words, Natalya did enough punishment where only a roll-up was would have sufficed to pin Ronda Rousey. A shitty roll-up by a smaller wrestler. So she wins. Now, for some reason, Ronda Rousey gives Liv Morgan the belt and gives her a hug, right? I get it. They're both faces, right? But what Liv Morgan just did is a very heelish thing. For some reason, we've forgotten about that. You know, I blame CM Punk because I think he was like the first face to be Money in the Bank and use it like duplicitously, right? So CM Punk's duplicitous use of the Money in the Bank has pretty much justified it so that any face can use it and it's not cheating, right? It's cheating, you know? When a face does it, it's like, oh my God, this is an opportunity. But when The Miz does it, it's like, oh my God, Miz taking advantage. Oh, Edge, the ultimate opportunist. And this is stupid. You have to remain consistent, right? And fine, even if the face is someone that's very, very liked, right? Or someone that, like Liv Morgan, who's not going to win it in a fair match, right? You still have to, like, fine, if Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are, like, cool with it, that's one thing. But Ronda Rousey shouldn't be cool with it. She should be upset because she just went through a grueling match and then someone took advantage of her. But instead, she's happy and proud of Liv Morgan. All of a sudden, they're friends. Great. Who gives a flying fuck? Liv Morgan's losing the title in, like, a couple of days, I bet. But anyways, doesn't even matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't even matter. Because by far the worst part here was the fact that for some strange reason, like, Liv Morgan just beat Ronda Rousey. I don't care how you cut it. She just beat Ronda Rousey, right? You know, back in the day when someone would cash in the Money in the Bank, they'd run in, they'd hit their finisher. The champion would kick out almost always, like one time. Then they'd hit the finisher again, and then that would be it. But in this case, none of that shit was necessary. A simple roll-up will suffice against Ronda Rousey, cucks. So I give this match and the subsequent segment where Liv Morgan wins, I give it absolutely a 0 out of 10. I didn't enjoy it at all. I don't think it should be on pay-per-view, period. Next up, we have the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I almost lost my mind because obviously, like everyone else, I predicted that Cookie Rhodes would somehow be added to this match, right? That's what you'd expect. And I automatically assumed Cookie Rhodes was not only going to be added, but obviously he would win, right? Thankfully, that didn't happen. But my heart nearly dropped because Adam Pierce, whatever his name is, Adam, like the bald guy, the general manager person, comes out and he says, we're adding someone, right? I'm like, fuck, here it is. The fans cheer and he says, Theory, right? Theory comes out. Now, here's the problem with this. Obviously, Theory lost the match to Lashley, so he doesn't deserve it, right? Number two, he didn't qualify for it, so he doesn't deserve it, right? That was part of the story, I guess, if you will, right? But there really was no story here, right? Money in the Bank is a fucking joke now. Since what's his face, James, whatever, the weird guy with the blonde hair, helped Carmella win. Since that year, you know, it hasn't really been a serious event, right? Like Otis won one year, and that bullshit, like, you know, where they wrestled all over the headquarters, and then he lost it to Miz. You know, that was kind of bullshit, right? There's been a lot of these screwy Money in the Bank moments. Brock Lesnar came in and screwed Ali, thank God. You know, that was one of the good ones. But nevertheless, it wasn't fair, right? No matter, though, no matter. The facts are what the facts are. Theory came out, and the whole match we have to hear Pat McAfee, who was in character because he doesn't like Theory, right? He keeps saying, like, Theory, this, Theory, that, you know? Like, he didn't earn it, da-da-da-da-da. Which is fine, which makes sense in the storyline. However, you can't really keep hanging your hat on the fact that Theory didn't earn the match. Who cares? He still has to win the match, right? Fine. He got there through duplicitous means. It's like that one Elimination Chamber where, like, Edge came in and destroyed Kofi Kingston, gave him a concerto and took his spot. Right? People were like, oh my God, Edge did it. What a bastard, right? And the match started, and then eventually Edge came in, and then he eliminated Cena, him, Mysterio, and someone else, eliminated Cena in like 10 seconds, right? And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, Cena's gone. New champion, motherfucks. Could it be Edge? And nobody kept talking about Edge. Edge never was meant to be in this match. Fine. Edge may have never been meant to be in the match, but the facts are what the facts are. He is in the match. Same thing with Theory. He is in the match. So let's focus on the match. However, I understand because this match, you know, I sound like a fucking broken record, but it seems like every fucking pay-per-view, they just one-up themselves. It's like I keep saying that every WWE pay-per-view has the worst main event of all time. This might be the worst main event of all time. This is like a match that would open the card at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a pay-per-view worthy main event, right? Not only because of the implications, right? The fact that Roman Reigns just doesn't give a shit anymore is inexcusable in my opinion. But not only that, just the people that are in it, right? It's like, you know that none of these motherfuckers have any chance of winning. The only person that has a chance of really winning is Riddle, and I guess you could say Seth Rollins. And maybe, if they really want to double it down, Drew McIntyre. But because Drew McIntyre is going to be wrestling Roman Reigns at like whatever the show in Wales that they're going to have, right? It's completely immaterial, you know? It doesn't fucking matter, motherfucks. It doesn't matter. That's what's going to happen. That's how it's going to go down. So with that being said, cuckolds, I'll tell it to you like this. Theory eventually wins the title, and they kept saying he did it in an opportunistic fashion. That's the whole point of the match, but nevertheless, he climbs the ladder, beats up Matt Riddle, and that's the end of that. After he beats up Matt Riddle, he gets the title, goes down, climbs back up with his phone, takes a selfie. Theory deserved it. Out of everyone in this match, Theory is the one that has the greatest upside. And ironically, there's a few people in this match that I actually like. Like, I like Madcap Moss, you know what I'm saying? I like Riddle. That's about it, really. I mean, like, Seth Rollins, I don't really like him anymore. Sheamus, I mean, his time's done. Drew McIntyre, as far as I'm concerned, his time's done. So Theory's the one that deserved it the most, in my personal opinion. So the right guy won. I understand people wanted Cookie Rhodes, and I'm sure he's going to defend it against Cookie Rhodes, and maybe you lose it, right? But I would like to see Theory hold it, even if he's going to lose it, hold it for like almost a year, you know? Push Theory to the main event. This is one of your only opportunities to create a young main eventer. I'm tired of these 40-year-olds coming in and being main eventers, you know? Which is fine. Some of them are great. Like, AJ Styles is great. But it's like, how many years does he have left, you know? You need someone like Theory, who could theoretically, motherfucks, who could theoretically be there for 20 years. You know, if he's 24, he can be there. AJ Styles is 44. He could be there for 20 years. He could carry this company on his back for 20 years. And I think Theory is just the right guy to do this because he's good at what he does, number one, but he's not too good, right? He's not like on the level of, let's say, like John Cena or, you know, The Rock, right? He's not like, he doesn't have that level of charisma. He doesn't have like that look or anything like that. He kind of looks a little stupid looking, you know what I mean? Like, that's why the whole thing with Dexter Lumis really fit in NXT, right? He looks kind of dumb. So it's like, this guy's probably never going to be like a Hollywood star because he looks like a meathead, you know? Like, it's not gonna fit. but he has the other attributes. Like, he's not an ugly guy or anything, and I'm not saying he's a fucking pig, but I'm saying, like, he has this look where it's like he doesn't have this like intellectual look, like, let's say like a Rock or Cena can pull that off, or even a Batista. They can pull off like a pensive look or something like that. Theory, I don't think he can. So he's someone that actually he's the perfect function of guy who can get it done in the ring, and someone that could last for 20 years. So why the fuck would they not push him and push Cody Rhodes, who's like 38? You know what I mean? Cody Rhodes, who also might leave tomorrow. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen to Cody Rhodes, right? So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm saying here. You know what I mean? The right guy won. Everyone's going to say it's stupid. Everyone's going to say Theory doesn't deserve it. But look at who else was in the match. Omos, this guy should be released. It's never going to happen. Like I've already told you, motherfucker, several times. Right? Riddle, he's got a good future, but we'll see. Sheamus, I mean, Sheamus is like, at this point, a Hall of Famer. So he doesn't need this. It helps nothing, right? Seth Rollins, as far as I'm concerned, this guy needs like a legitimate character makeover because it's not working out. Seth freaking Rollins is no longer working out. It was working out for like a week. It didn't work out anymore, right? Then we have the worst of the worst. Let's be real. Sami Zayn. Oh my God. It's like when I was watching this, Sami Zayn literally looked like a homeless guy. You know? Like it was embarrassing how shitty he looked. He's just a piece of shit. He looks horrible. He just looks like he doesn't give a fuck. I know that's kind of his thing. He's supposed to be this like grimy, dirty bastard, but he looks the part a bit too well, right? It's not even feasible that this guy should be a wrestler, right? He looks like a normal guy wearing a shirt. Like no muscle on this guy whatsoever anymore. Just an asshole with a shirt, with an Usos shirt. He looks like a fan, right? And it didn't even fit well because in this match, there were some people that are legit, like Riddle and Theory. And you know, you also have like Omos in there who's like a fucking giant, right? And Sami Zayn just doesn't fit in this category of people, right? There's nothing about him other than the fact that he looks like a homeless jobber. This guy needs to be like I literally thought to myself, like, I'm not even joking. I thought this in my head. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen someone look like more of a jobber than Sami Zayn. Like, even jobbers. Like, I don't even think a jobber has looked as more of a jobber than Sami Zayn. Like, Sami Zayn could literally be like James whatever that used to hang out with Carmella. He could literally fulfill that role. He has the same level of jobberness. So there you go, motherfucks. The show, it was okay for what it was, but the problem is that what it was shit. Because once again, we are denied the tribal chief. We are denied the world champion. We need to see the world champion, motherfucks. I don't care if he's just there to like make a coffee and eat a donut, but we need to see him. You know, we can't just have the world champion not show up on pay-per-views. It's ridiculous. It's been like several pay-per-views in a row now where he hasn't defended his title. It's like they've already mapped it out. They've mapped out that he's going to defend the title at SummerSlam and at the Wales show against Drew McIntyre. But he's going to beat both those guys. So who's going to take it from him? Is it going to be Theory? I hope it is. I mean, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But the facts are what the facts are. Cuts. You know what I'm saying? I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if they like keep him as undisputed champion and they just reintroduce like the world heavyweight title or some bullshit, you know? I could see that shit happening. I'm not even joking. I could see it happening because it's like, dude, we need something to actually keep going here. Or he can just relinquish one of them. I don't know. Something needs to happen. We need a world champion, man. This is worse than Lesnar. Because at least with Lesnar, you would either get him at the pay-per-view or you'd have something, right, like Roman Reigns in there instead. Now we don't have Roman Reigns. We don't have Lesnar. What are we left with? I guess Theory is the answer we're looking for, Cox. But there you go. I didn't really particularly like the match, other than the fact that, like, finally the right guy won for once, you know? But it wasn't a good show, motherfuckers. And again, when I say the right guy won, I'm not saying Theory's like the next Cena. You know, he has the highest potential to be the next Cena, but I'm not saying Theory's like all that. But he's good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, people should be happy with Theory as like world champion. Oh, I get it. Oh, he's not ready. What do you mean he's not ready? Who's ready? Kenny Omega's ready? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here, motherfuckers.